Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Rokket Yugioh deck profile for post Battles of Legend Monstrous Revenge. We got the new awesome Rokket Coder in the latest Yu-Gi-Oh booster set, which can help with the actual playstyle for both the Link Code Talker deck or the Rokket Dragon deck, which I wanted to start off with the Rokket deck since I did a Code Talker deck more recently with the Cyberstorm Access release, but made a couple other changes to the deck as well. But Rokket Coder definitely does help, just being able to give you more link options with some of the Rokket monsters you may have in your hands for the summon of your Boral monsters using it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the only for the Rokket monsters that we run in the deck, 3 copies of Rokket Tracer. Quick effect, you can target one face-up card you control, destroy it, and special summon one Rokket monster from your deck except for Rokket Tracer. Also, you can special summon monsters from the extract for the rest of the turn, except for dark monsters. So you can only use each effect of Rokket Tracer once per turn, but you can even target Rokket Tracer itself with its own card effect, giving you that special summon onto the field. So with your Rokket Tracer, you have plenty of special summon options for your Rokket monsters, including the new Rokket Coder, which I thought about running 3 copies of this card. If you were to run a 3rd copy, you can decrease the number of auto Rokket Dragons that we are running in the deck, or the next option, which would be Rokket Recharger, for a 3rd copy of Rokket Coder. If this card would be used for the link summon of a Boral monster, you can treat this card as a dragon, and you can only use each of the following effects of Rokket Coder once per turn. If a Cyber monster you control be used as link material for a Code Talker monster, this card in your hand can also be used as material. If this card you control would be used as link material for a Boral monster, one dark monster in your hand can also be used. So using a dark monster in your hand as material is definitely useful, because depending on the monster that you may have in your hand, you can then just send that monster and whatever it may be to the graveyard as material for that dark Boral monster on the field to summon out using your Rokket Coder that's on the field. And since it has Rokket in its name, it can be special summoned onto the field thanks to other cards like Boot Sector Launch, which specifies special summoning up to 2 Rokket monsters from your hand or a graveyard. So this card can easily be summoned back to the field or from your hand for all of those different spell plays. And we're also running 2 copies of Magna Rokket Dragon, along with the target effect that would destroy your Rokket cards and gaining an additional card effect. Your Magna Rokket will send an opponent's monster to the graveyard, and then during the end phase, if it was in the graveyard because it was destroyed on the field by a battle or card effect, you gain another special summon. So depending on what you use it for, the special summon play, you can then just summon out a different Rokket monster aside from Magna Rokket, but you really only need the 2 copies for the good majority of them, because you can special summon them either off of their own card effects or off of cards like your Quick Launch. And also 2 copies of Rokket Caliber. You can special summon this card from your hand to a zone of Dark Link monster points to. You can only special summon Rokket Caliber once per turn this way, and you can tribute this card to special summon 1 Dark Dragon or Machine monster from your hand except for Rokket Caliber. So sadly, Rokket Coder is a Cyber monster, so you can't special summon it off of that card effect, but it's mostly used just as another easy summon onto the field, and then it's a level 4 tuner monster, giving us more synchro plays if need be with some of our other cards. We're also running the 2 auto Rokket Dragon and the 2 Rokket Recharger. These were either one, whichever you prefer. The spot that you can take out one of these cards to put in a 3rd copy of Rokket Coder if you wish, having the spell and trap send power with your auto Rokket Dragon, and then just the option to special summon a different monster when one of your link monsters from the extract, or just one of your monsters special summon from the extract, is destroyed by battle or a card effect, sending your Rokket Recharger to the graveyard to special summon a different monster onto the field. With our 1-ofs for our Rokket monsters being 1 copy of Rokket Synchron. So this card works very well with the Absa Router or the Noctovision special summon onto the field. So then we can have our Borreload Savage Dragon play off of just this normal summon level 1 tuner. The 1 Metal Rokket Dragon for more of the column play. for the destructions that you can do, and the 1 shell rocket for the parallel or adjacent zones for the additional destruction when this card's targeted by a link monster effect. And also the 1 Anise Rocket Dragon for the prevention of monster attacking, and then also negating the monster's effect. And the last one being the Silver Rocket Dragon. When this card's targeted, you can destroy this card, then look at your opponent's extra deck and banish 1 card from it, taking away some vital cards your opponent may have with this card's effect also. Now, also, I run the 1 double Disruptor Dragon. I used to just run it for the Rapid Trigger Fusion spell, but I'm also running the Heavy Interlock again, trying out the Ritual Monster to see how it goes with the use of destroying your monsters for summoning out the Ritual Monster, giving you an additional search off this card. Also, being able to tribute it to target 2 rocket monsters in your graveyard with different names and special summon them in defense position. Once again, Rocket Coder counts as one of these monsters since it does have Rocket in its name, and you can banish this card from your graveyard to add 1 Rapid Trigger or 1 Heavy Interlock from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So more search power for your Ritual and your Fusion plays. We're also running 2 copies of Apsarouter Dragon. When sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card if you control a rocket monster, and if it's sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 rocket monster from your deck to your hand. Once again, searching the new star of the deck, Rocket Coder, off of this card. And we're also running 3 copies of Noctovision Dragon. If, when your opponent activates a card effect that targets a face-down card you control, quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard and negate that effect. And if a Dark Dragon monster is special summoned to your field, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if it's sent to the graveyard as link material, you can draw 1 card. I just like this card more of a 3-of than Apsarouter because you do have a special summon play and search power, but this card just gives you more draw options while being able to special summon when just special summoning with the main playstyle that the deck was meant to do to begin with. For some of the last of the 1-ofs for the Dragon Monsters, 1 Destrudo. I'm back down to 1 with this card because, like I said, I am testing out the Ritual Monster, the 1 Wyver Buster, and the 1 Collapse Serpent for the rest of the main deck monsters. And then for the last Ritual Monster being the Borreload Riot Dragon, you can Ritual summon this card with Heavy Interlocked. When your opponent special summons a monster, quick effect, you can negate the special summon, and if you do, destroy that monster, then destroy this card or 1 rocket monster you control. If this card's in your graveyard, you can target 1 Borrel or Rocket Monster in your graveyard, destroy 1 card you control, or in your hand. If you do, add that target to your hand. You can only use this effect of Borreload Riot Dragon once per turn. Recycle power, but also being a 3k Ritual Monster, level 8, means you can use the destruction effect of Heavy Interlock to destroy just 2 of your level 4 rocket monsters to summon out this card, which we'll go over in more detail when we get to the spell cards. For the 3-ofs that we run for the spell lineup, 3 copies of Quick Launch. Once again, another card that can summon out Rocket Coder, just because it has Rocket in its name. It will destroy during the end phase, but it still has its effect active thanks to Quick Launch, so you can still use the link effect, so you can summon out your Rocket Coder, normal summon 1 additional Rocket monster, and then from there you can even just go with the 1 additional monster in your hand to get out a link 3 monster using these cards that we have. Also, 3 copies of World Legacy Guard Dragon, just being able to special summon a dragon monster from our graveyard and then move its position on the field for another dragon monster. So with the arrows that we may have for some of our Borrel monsters, you can move them around and then have more options for some of our other link monsters we may want to summon out onto the field with the new arrows that we've placed on the field also. And then for the 1-ofs for the spells, the 1 copy of Boot Sector Launch, it's really all you need since we do run the Striker Dragon to be able to search this card out when it's summoned. The 1 Borrel Regenerator for more special summoning plays of our rocket monsters in our graveyard. The 1 Rapid Trigger for the Fusion Summon, and it also destroys the materials we use, so then that'll give us some special summons for our own rocket monsters. The 1 Heavy Interlock. This card gives us you use for a ritual play of Borreload Riot Dragon, and you must also tribute monsters from your hand or field and or destroy monsters from your hand or face up on the field whose total levels equal 8 or more. The monster special summoned by this effect cannot be destroyed by battle with the monster special summoned from the extra deck, so it makes your Borreload Riot Dragon all the more protected from your opponent's extra deck monsters thanks to that last part of the ritual spell. With the last of the main deck cards and the spells being 1 copy of Dragon Shrine and the 1 copy of Monster Reborn. Dragon Shrine to be able to send cards like Destrudo to the graveyard or any of our other dragons like Apsarouter to gain the additional search, and Monster Reborn just being able to summon back any resource to the field, whether it be one of our bigger boss monsters or one we need to make to go into those monsters. And moving on now to the extra deck for the Link monsters, still sticking to the 1 Borrelguard, 1 Borrelsword, and the 1 Borreload Dragon. For all of the different summoning plays, they all have their own targeting effects, so we can use the Rokket monsters to destroy them and gain the additional card effects that they may have. Borrelguard being a more defensive play, Sword being more of the offensive play, and Borreload being more of the balance between the two to use depending on which one you want to summon out, and each one being able to be not destroyed, whether it be by battle, card effects, or just being targeted by monster effects also. We also run the 1 copy of Borrelcode Dragon, one of the easier Link 3 monsters, with still the pretty frightening destruction effect, and the Borrel End Link 5 option for when we can summon this card out. Once again, another difficult card, since it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect, for when it's on the field, and just an overall more difficult card to get over, having 3,500 attack. For the other Link monsters in the deck, the 1 Striker Dragon for the Boot Sector Launch Search, the Quad Borrel Dragon with this destruction play. If we destroyed a Link monster, we get special summon of any number of Rokket monsters with different names from your hand or graveyard up to its Link rating. The 1 Triple Burst for more of an attack strategy type of Link 3 monster. And then also the 1 Yugioh and the 1 Heretic Seal for the rest of our Dragon lineup as well. We also have a Cybers option with our Borrelcode option, because then we can special summon a Topologic monster thanks to Borrelcode and its last monster effect. So we are running the 1 Topologic Trizbana and the 1 Topologic Zeroboros for the last 2 Link monsters. They're not dragons, so remember that. So with their restrictions to some of the dragon plays we have in the deck, but still some pretty awesome spell and trap and then whole board banish plays with these cards, with the only non-Link monsters we run in the deck being the 1 copy of Borreload Savage Dragon, the 1 Borreload Furious Dragon, and the 1 Borreload X-Charge, having more special summon plays, and then also attaching Link monsters onto Borreload Savage Dragon, and then being able to target a Dark Link monster in our graveyard and special summon it after, with this card being able to banish it from the graveyard. So each one works with Link monsters in different ways, whether it summons it to a zone that the Link monster will point to for X-Charge, the special summon play off of Furious Dragon, and then equipping it as a spell onto Savage Dragon to use for its Link counters. As for some of the go-to plays in the deck, like I said before, Quick Launch can be used to now special summon out the new Rokket Coder, and Rokket Coder can count as a dragon, so depending on some of the special summons we want to get out on the field, whether it be a Heretic Seal of Heavenly Spheres, or more of our setup, like with Quad Burrow Dragon, you can use the Rokket Coder for that play, summoning out just this 1 monster, and without even going into our normal summon, we can use 1 additional Dark Attribute monster in our hand. So for the Link material, you can even use cards like Noctovision in our hand to go for the Link 2 play of, let's say, our Quad Burrow Dragon. So you have your summon meeting the requirements, since we did use a Rokket monster, and you have the draw power off of Noctovision to give you 1 additional draw. You haven't even taken up your normal summon yet for these plays, and then being able to, for this summon, destroy a targeted monster. So you could still go for your summon on the field. So if you have just another Rokket monster, you have the target for Quad Boral, or even just the Link 3 play there. If you have your Rokket Tracer, you have the destruction play to target itself, or 1 other card you may have on the field. So you can even set the card, if it's a spell, let's say you got off of Noctovision, to destroy this with Rokket Tracer, giving you the additional special summon onto the field. You can then use that additional monster to go into a Link 1, being your Striker Dragon. Then Striker Dragon will activate, being able to then add your field spell to your hand, activating this, so then you have either the graveyard special summon or your hand special summon, depending on the Rokket monsters you may open up. But you also have the 4 monsters needed, 4 links equaled out, to go into a Link 4 boss monster, whether it be your Borreload or your Borrelsword or Borrelguard, or if you can get 1 more special summon off of the Boot Sector launch, you can even go for the Link 3 play with your Topologic or Borrelcode Dragon. Then using the special summon of your Boot Sector launch, if you either reduce the number of monsters you have on your field to do the graveyard play, or having that 1 additional Rokket monster in your hand to special summon out, and using your Rokket Tracer with that monster to go for an Xyz play into Borreload X-Charge, or going into the better option of Savage Dragon, summoning it out, and then equipping onto it the Link to Quad Burrow from the graveyard for you to get the 2 counters onto this card. It all comes down just to to the versatility that the Rokket Coder has in the deck, since you can use monsters in your hand as resource and gain all those card effects depending on what they are, like Absol Router, the Noctovision, or even the Destrudo, all being great cards to send off of Rokket Coder, since you didn't have as many easy ways to get these cards in the graveyard aside from their own special summon onto the field by having those Rokket monsters. But even then, if you have multiples of them in your hand, you can have one of them be special summon onto the field and then use that last resource for you as the one in your hand for the Link summon. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, I'm really happy with the Rokket Coder edition, and I do plan to do a Code Talker update with this card as well, being another monster that we can just use in our hand for the Link play of those monsters. So look forward to it. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira, Twig out.